Janelle, you haven't seen Charles pop up any at all in the waiting room.
No, no, I haven't. Just by way of announcement, we have started our live stream. So I'll be sending the link to Andre now to send out.
Good evening, everyone. It's 7 o'clock. Miss Janelle Small, should I wait for 5 more minutes or is the waiting room empty? Good evening. Is
Hi,
anyone
Akeelia.
okay? You're hearing me?
You can wait 5 more minutes. That's fine.
Okay, no problem. All right, good evening again, everyone. I'm hearing an echo. Welcome to the first year debates. And this evening promises to be a very good debate, some riveting discussion. And we have four competent candidates that we are here to hear from. I am Akelia Richards, your Miss Law 2020-2021, and I will be one of your moderators for the evening. So just to give you a little brief, as you can see on the flyer on the screen, we have four candidates, namely Alia Da Silva, and she says to rally with Ali. We have Fabian Morris, who is the fireman. We have Karen Dawson, who says she cares for you. And we have Odell Darlington, who brings the WASP initiative, and he promises to leave with a sting. So I will hand over to my co-moderator, Mr. Shamar Bryan. I am wondering if he's still in the session, pardoning him and his internet service provider, but I will continue. So tonight we have our esteemed judges with us, and in the person of Miss Janelle Small, who is our president. We have Mr. John Mike Charles, the former president of the MLS. We have Tamoy Campbell, who is the current second year representative. And we have Mr. Ronaldo Richards, who is the past first year representative. And also, I believe we have Mr. Shamar Wedderburn, who is the past UE Stat president. Mr. Shamar Bryan, are you here? Okay, until Shamar Bryan gets back, he is the Mr. Law for 2020-2021, and he is my co-moderator. Now we'll be hearing the remarks from Mr. Justin John, who is the returning officer from Cave Hill. And special welcome to our viewers from Cave Hill and from St. Augustine. Mr. Justin John, over to you.
Hi, good night. Hope you all could hear me. So a pleasant evening to all of you coming from the UE Cave Hill Law Society. As was said prior, my name is Justin John, and I am the returning officer of the UE Cave Hill Law Society. Now, at Cave Hill, we have a saying, one flies, all soar. And I believe that the pandemic especially has driven us to a point where we are all collaborating greatly. Else, I don't think I would have been here tonight. So I want to firstly thank all the returning officers of the various law societies for pooling our resources and allowing for participation at their various events. I'm sure we're all excited to hear the participants here tonight. So I'm eager to hear them as well. I'd also like to just bring attention to the fact that, the Cave Hill Law Faculty would be celebrating its 50th year this academic year. So I'm sure there are many activities that we would be hosting, and I'll be sure to make sure that our president extends an invitation to yours and the entire Law Society. So I just want to say congratulations on the events that you would have held so far, and I hope to be present for whatever else I'm invited to. And good luck to all the candidates tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Justin John. I want to also note that Shamar Wedderburn is also the past second year rep. And so, as you can see, we have very competent judges for tonight or this evening's discussion. Okay, so to each candidate, I just want to make you aware, which I'm sure Mr. Matthew had already discussed this with you, but just for everyone to be clear, each candidate will be having 6 minutes or will be given 6 minutes to say their speech, after which we will be having a Q&A from the judges for 20 minutes, and we'll be also having a question and answer segment from the audience for 20 minutes. So audience, please tune in, make note of your questions as the speeches go on, and ask when it is the right time. The speeches will be done in this order. So candidates, you'll be going in this order. Alia Da Silva first, and then Fabian Morris, then Karen Dawson, and then Odell Darlington. And it was just alphabetically done based on your first name. So the rules, as I said before, 6 minutes for each speech. I will notify you when you have 1 minute left via the chat. And the judges' rubric, which I will be disclosing just in a moment, you'll be judged by method, manner, and matter. Method, 30 points, manner, 20 points, and matter, 50 points. Also, there will be a question and answer segment for each candidate to ask another candidate a question, which will be 15 minutes. Okay, candidates, are you ready? Audience, are you ready to hear from your candidates? Will you rally with Ali? Will you listen to the fireman, Fabian? Will you listen to Karen because she cares for you? Or will you feel the sting from the WASP initiative? Alia, I'll ask you to just check your mic. If you will be showing who you are tonight, then check your visual as well. And once I can hear you, I will say to you, begin. Alia?
Hi.
All right, great, Alia. Yes, I'm hearing you. And so your time starts now.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. They say, do not bite off more than you can chew. But I say, I'd rather choke on greatness than to nibble on mediocrity. I therefore move to quote Martin Luther King Jr., where he said, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Excellent leadership, activism, involvement, passion for advocacy, challenging perspectives, and the vision to see obstacles as opportunities are not skills that any man at any level will attain. Standing before you is a 19-year-old who encapsulates it all. My name is Alia Da Silva, and I am vying for the post of first-year law representatives. Having an enabling attitude, I pride myself as a laboratory of innovation, and as such, it will be imperative for me to convene a committee that will be the backbone of resilient leadership that I intend to bring about. I have always held the view that a crucial aspect of team building is to ensure that there is an effective and efficient committee in place. This committee will see to it that effective communication is present whenever issues arise, and such issues will be dealt with in an expeditious manner, further portraying my stance that even in adversity, I will strive. I am a leader who will be accountable for providing support, resources, and guidance that the first years would need for a successful academic year. Additionally to that, measures will be put in place for first-year students to evaluate myself and the committee on a monthly basis just for us to better ourselves while we have the position to improve on provision strategies so that your needs are better satisfied. Ladies and gentlemen, I present before you a plan that is feasible, effective, and result-oriented. If elected first-year representative, I do plan to cover all areas necessary for the operative function of each student, which speaks to your academical, spiritual, mental, and social well-being. As your first-year law representative, it would be my core mandate to find strategies to cater to all your needs. These include representing the interests of students on the executive and at relevant faculty board meetings. Secondly, I will be charged with the task of creating a database with students' contact and the general class schedule. This strategy would allow us, the committee, to easily get in contact with students by just searching under their names to send out direct information to whatever the needs may be. The inclusion of the general class schedule would allow me to create WhatsApp group chat for separate law courses that the first years would be undertaking. Thirdly, is the Google document report system for tutors, which is basically to facilitate individuals that have related tutorial sessions. Instances where tutors are constantly late for sessions, which results in discussion times being limited, a report may be issued through a Google form. This is effective as it provides evaluation for tutors, as their sessions are just as vital as lectures. Last but not least, the creation of Google Drive with relevant information. This is a method of disseminating information to students in an easy and convenient way, whether it is information in regards to academics or happenings within the faculty. In addition to this, an email system will be put in place to facilitate such dissemination, which will enable persons to access the relevant information by other means so they can always be in the know. Academically, I plan to carry out a few essential diplomacies that will aid in your academic development. These include the tutoring or study sessions, which would be a system where persons who are strong in a specific course area are comfortable and willing to host a session for others to benefit. A timetable would be made with a scheduled day for each course revision. The person who volunteers to host will be on the master's list. This would be solely voluntary to assist others. It's not limited to one person to host these sessions, as the course topics will vary in for revision or discussion for each course. Therefore, it will vary as it relates to who will host on different days. The general dissemination of course materials for each of the students' law courses and foundation courses. In light of academic development, practice court sessions would be hosted in hopeful collaboration with the Mooting Society and guidance from our seniors. This session will aid in public speaking and further reiterate topics or cases. Established case laws would be used alongside what was taught in lectures. This opportunity will enable all students to use what they have learned.
Alia, Miss Alia, your time is up. I will allow you 10 seconds. So give me your final statement at this time.
Ladies and gentlemen, though the speech is not finished, with all being said, the ball is in your court. You have the power to make the right choice. Let your voices be heard and your votes be tallied when you rally with Ali. Vote Alia Da Silva for your 2020-2021 academic year first law representative. Vote for consistency and effective representation.
Thank you, Miss Alia. Okay, everyone, you've heard it from Alia Da Silva. She says to rally with Ali. And I must also point out at this time, thank you so much, Alia. Thank you. I must also point out at this time that Fabian Morris is experiencing some technical difficulties, and as such, I will ask Fabian to say his speech last. And so up next is Karen Dawson. So you've heard from Alia. Alia says, rally with Ali. She says representation is a must. She says she will create database, and she says she will separate group chats for each course. Now it's time to hear from Karen. Karen says she cares for you, so vote Karen. All right, Karen, can I hear you? Can you give me a test run? And please be reminded that you only have 6 minutes.
Okay. Are you hearing me properly? Can you hear me clearly?
Good. Yes, I'm hearing you. So I will message in the chat when you have 1 minute remaining. And once that 1 minute is up, I will have to stop you. All right, okay. Go ahead, Karen.
All protocols having been so adequately observed, good evening all. I think we can all agree that a star is quite beautiful. Indeed, their singular flickering has been the inspiration of great classics such as Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, a song I'm sure we're all familiar with. But as any music lover will agree, an album is better than a single. And likewise, a constellation is even more breathtaking than a lone star. We are that constellation, better together rather than alone. Should you entrust me with your vote, my term as your first year representative will be dedicated to you and making the rest of our first year journey go as smoothly as possible. Myself, being an optimist, I truly believe this is achievable. As long as we put our best foot forward, we can all shine together. To enhance the shine, I have several plans in place, including an initiative called the Budding Lawyer Benefit Night. This would be a talent night or competition where to vote, students would have to donate money. The more money that the students donate, the more votes that they have to use to go towards their favorite contestant. These donations will be matched in a ratio either 2-1 or 3-1, for example, by some sponsors. At the end of the night, the contestant with the most votes would be the winner, and of course, there would be a prize. But the most important part about this is that all proceeds from this endeavor will go towards funding an incoming first year law student, that is, a budding lawyer. Moreover, academic excellence is something that we're all here to achieve. We're here to shine bright, right? As such, some endeavors are in place to ensure that this is achieved, such as the internship fair, where different firms could come in and talk to us about what internships there are available for us, what they entail, what's the duration, and if they are paid. This would be even more important in this age due to the pandemic, as internships may be a little bit different in this time. Even to add to this, we would also have seniors coming to talk to us about their internship experience and how that was, how they made the most of it, and how that made them into a better law student. There is also a common misconception that introverts cannot be lawyers. To dispel this misconception, we would like to have lawyers come in and talk to us, those who have personalities on either end of the spectrum, that is being extroverted or introverted. This could help bolster some students in this faculty who may be introverts but still have a very passionate desire to practice law. In addition, we would also have lawyers coming to talk to us about how practicing law has changed in the context of the pandemic, as some of these protocols may still be implemented going forward. The Dean's List is something that we should all aspire to be on. We would get some Deans of Scholars to come and talk to us about their tips and tricks to getting on it, how they avoided certain mistakes, what mistakes they made so that we don't make those same mistakes, ensure that we can achieve academic excellency. And finally, with regards to academics, we would also have a Google Drive with resources to ensure that no matter where you are, as long as you have this drive, you'll be able to access anything that you need. So while we're here to achieve academic excellence, we are also here to form bonds, relax, and also just form a network and a community. To foster unity, several activities such as Games Night and Battle of the Brains will be planned. So Battle of the Brains is an academic games night where the questions and answers would have been vetted by our lecturers or our tutors to ensure that these are the utmost correct answers that we could ever get in preparation for exams. On the actual night, we would have either a lecturer, some tutors, or a group of our seniors there to ensure that we are on the right path and they can shoulder any questions, additional questions that we may have, and they can correct us and put us on the right path. This would be done in small rounds in breakout rooms where you would move forward. And at the end of the night, the top 3, of course, would be awarded a prize. And even if you choose not to participate, that's okay, because this would still help you in your revision, just being able to hear the questions and the answers. And of course, all these materials would be available to you even after this session. So you can go through it on your own time by yourself. So this position is for representation. As such, effective representation is something that is very important. It's in the name, right? So issue boxes will be implemented. So don't grab tissues, just spill your issues. These will be forms where you could put in the issue that you're facing so that I could get back to you. Not only that, but I could actually catalog the issues that you're facing along with the response that was given or the solution that was provided to promote greater accountability, especially from the faculty and administration, to show whether or not these issues have actually been addressed during the course of our first year. There's also an anonymous version where if there's a more sensitive or private issue that you would still like representation on, but you don't want your name to be known, this option is there for you. I will still be able to represent you and you won't have to worry about any of that. And finally, there would be dissemination of club information. Now, clubs are very important, especially in ensuring that we are well-rounded individuals. Myself, I love sports. I may not have been the best person at sports, but I love them very much. And while I can't practice sports online via Zoom, you can engage in any other club that is there. But it has been kind of difficult to get information regarding this. So I would ensure that I get all this information for you, put it into a Google Doc, put it into the drive, disseminate it via email, WhatsApp, and other means to ensure that you have several avenues to access this information. I offer myself and service to you, my colleagues. And should you choose me as your representative, your voice, concerns, anxieties, stresses, and anything else will all be heard, addressed, and quelled. No matter the result, I will always be here to help you in any way, shape, or form because I care for you and I'm here for you. We are all stars, so let's shine brightly together. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen, and right on time. Okay, thank you so much, Karen. And for just some quick pointers, Karen says an album is better than a single. So I'm guessing if you want a track from that album, if you want to ensure that your favorite track is on that album, you need to vote for Karen. Karen says introverts and extroverts, she is catering to every single one of you. And before you forget about the battle of the brains. So Karen is ensuring that there's a fun way for you to study. Thank you so much, Karen, for that speech. And up next is Odell Darlington with the WASP Initiative. That is WASP WASP Initiative. Odell Darlington, are you here?
I just get a second. Am I glitching or anything? Because I realized things were glitching on my screen a while ago. Am I glitching? Are you hearing me clearly?
You look fine to me, and I am hearing you. So, can we hear the sting? Or can we feel the sting, I should say? All right, sure. You may begin, Odell.
Gladiators don't run. They fight. They slay dragons, wipe off the blood, stitch up their wounds, and live to fight another day. I'm Odell Darlington. I have one question for you tonight. Are you ready to feel the sting of the wasp? And I'm going to say it again. Are you ready to feel the sting of the wasp? My job here today is to sell my WASP initiative and to explain to you why you should want to excel with Odell. First thing I will discuss is welfare, as my WASP stands for welfare, advocacy/academic success, and progress. The first thing I'll be discussing today is welfare and advocacy/academic success, and then progress. So to my first point. Honorable judges, it is important to note that student welfare encompasses emotional and mental well-being of students. Now, my initiatives such as games night, movie night, and call me anytime, this will be essential for the developing of our students and for them to foster personal development and to raise self-awareness. This plan, honorable judges, is going to be feasible, very simply because, my students just need to show up and show up, and I'll be there. But I am the best candidate for this. Well, not just because of my charming demeanor, of course, but also because I've had personal experiences with student welfare. Because I was a student advisor at my alma mater for the CAPE course, and I was also the vice president of the Debating and Public Speaking Society. You clearly can see. So I will work, I will advocate, I'll definitely gladiate. So my welfare initiative is going to boost up the WASP and make this thing hotter. Which leads me to my second point, which is advocacy/academic success. I'm sure everyone here today applied to the university for many reasons, but one in particular, which is academic success. Academic success plays a crucial role in the development of any student in any school at all. So with my initiatives such as Tutor Me Please, Coffee Out, Knocks Out, Study On, 3 is better than 2, and also Together We Are Stronger, the standard, the bar will be raised and the golden standard upheld. I'm the best candidate for this because I'm the best candidate to walk my students towards academic success because I've excelled academically over the years, and I will continue to excel, particularly with my students, my first-year students beside me. It's the slogan, excel with Odell. Academics and advocacy coincide sometimes, and this is the reason why, when elected your first-year representative, I'm going to make sure it's going to be a priority, a list. I'm going to make sure that the candidates that are running against me currently are going to make up my subcommittee, and their plans are in their manifesto. We will work together, consider it, and make it a reality. So my third point, which is progress. So it's been known that improvements in well-being, happiness, and satisfaction come from making progress towards your goal. With that in mind, I will introduce the Progress Initiative, which under the Progress Initiative, I have Star of the Month, Water Wednesdays, and also Let's Talk About It, the exciting and vibrant Let's Talk About It. Now, let me just say, first of all, we're all stars. It's pretty much why we're here today. It's why we were letting into the faculty, all stars. But I want my first years to be shooting stars. So I'm going to work closely with my students, inform them of the importance of a healthy lifestyle at faculty. And of course, my Water Wednesday is in fact very important. At the end of this, I'm going to have people consuming water like oxygen. So this will ensure students' physical well-being and capability progress towards their goals. In our Let's Talk About It session, which will be vibrant, amazing, we're going to discuss all things law and some things personal branding and business. So the impact of the Progress Initiative is that it will foster a sense of purpose among our students, help them to navigate the struggles and challenges of the faculty, and to become the best version of themselves possible. Now, in essence, the progress is what happens when you excel with Odell. So in conclusion, the WASP initiative is the only thing, and I'm going to repeat that, WASP initiative is the only thing you should be feeling this year. From welfare and student development, advocacy and academic success, progress is the only way to excel at faculty and excel with Odell. So I would say, welfare, sting. Advocacy, sting. Academic success, sting. Progress, sting. WASP, sting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Odell. And I'm sure we are feeling the sting. Odell says, if you want to vent, you can call him anytime. He has a lot of plans, and I'm sure we've heard it all. We heard of his Water Wednesdays, and that will surely get us healthy. So if you want to feel the sting, and if you want to excel, vote Odell. Now I am checking if the fireman is still in the building. Fabian Morris, are you here? Pardon me?
Good evening. I am
All right,
here.
don't start the speech just yet. I just wanted to check your audio.
You're hearing
Okay.
clearly.
Very clear.
Thank
And
you.
I hope you can stay on for the 6 minutes.
Beautiful.
All right, you may begin.
Respected judges, Madam President of the Mona Law Society, executive members of the Mona Law Society, worthy opponents, faculty members, bystanders, and well-wishers. Good evening. Service above self. This sums up a clear representation of the type of leadership I plan to exhibit during this academic year. This is not another climb up the ladder. It isn't just another stepping stone. For me, this is not merely any position for social gain, but an opportunity to utilize my God-given skills in humbly serving my cohort. The FIRE plan was developed after consultations with my fellow cohort members, executive members of the Mona Law Society, as well as the constitution that governs the MLS. Hence, I've grasped the challenges that my classmates are grappling with, all of which point towards the rough adaptation to the faculty of law. Hence, I've devised strategic and cogent plans that take a holistic approach to my cohort. Now, due to the constraints of time, I might not be able to cover the full length and width of my plans. Nevertheless, I'm open to anyone who wishes to inquire about my plans. Now, family, this evening I begin with the two most controversial plans etched into my manifesto. It has been said that I am quite ambitious, yet fictitious in my approach, as it would not be idoneous for me to plan certain plans due to the unprecedented times we are in. Shall we begin? The first one is the Support the Youths campaign, the fight against deregistration. The mandate of this initiative is to press towards creating a pool of funding for major grants and bursaries under the label of every mickle make a muckle. It could be a $10, it could be $10,000, it could be $100,000. Now, let me pause to clear the air. I'm not making any highfalutin plan to pay for someone's tuition, no. But this candidate, unlike my fellow opponents, will not stand aloof to the pressing issue for those of us, even though they are pushing to pay the tuition, are still bereft of resources that are essential to the process of learning. As such, I have started to approach major companies and stakeholders, both in the public and private sector, and they are open to the initiative. Now, again, let me just address those who may be casting aspersions. The parties engaged are open, but I have not yet received a commitment to ground support. Nevertheless, I stand upon the premise of nothing beats a trial but a failure. Also, the Heart of Love initiative, which is my second point, COVID-19 has forced the world to change its antiquated approaches to our everyday life. Many of us are unable to facilitate the changes, such as transitioning to the online modality of learning due to the lack of resources. As such, I intend to partner and collaborate to solicit assistance for the supply of devices, continued compilation of textbooks and past papers, as well as modems and data plans for those of us who are having a serious challenge when it comes to connectivity. Now, many of you question the feasibility of such an initiative. Just listen to me now. This is an understandable concern. Well done. However, I again stand on the premise of nothing beats a trial but a failure. Through collaboration and partnership, we can execute this project. For example, the Rotaract Club of Kingston and St. Andrew, whom I have been in contact with, recently partnered with the Jamaica National Bank and Royal Computers to donate 10 desktop computers to Balcomi Drive Primary School. Do you get my point? With key partnerships, this can be done. We're moving along swiftly. Furthermore, there are other plans which are tailored specifically to engage, develop, and unify my fellow cohort. Plans such as becoming a lawyer, the road to the courtroom. This initiative is geared specifically towards providing solid advice and strategies to build a personal brand from learned professionals in the field. Now, this initiative will look at effective communication, proper etiquette in the workplace, as well as individual resume and CV writing. Under this initiative, we would invent a series called What They Don't Teach You in Law School. Yes, my friends. This would be conducted through videos, tips, and sessions with professionals in the field who can give you insight into what they face while working in the field. Now, my friends, my family, my fellow opponents, judges, today you have heard the pros and cons and the promises and ideas of each of us. But I urge you to remember, beautiful speaking can't get you through first year. Action do that. It is without any dispute that I am a man for the job. With a track record of over 6 years in the field of leadership, I possess the capacity, the experience, and determination to fulfill the constitutional mandates of this position, as well as those I have proposed. My fellow students, the choice is clear, crystal clear. Now it is time to remain. Now is not the time to remain the same. The year is not business as usual. It is not the time for a representative who will buckle under the pressure, but it is a time for someone who can affect the change you, the students, need to rise and succeed and be the best you can be, not only for this year, but for the remainder of your studies. On the 21st of October, 2020, I ask you to join me and to let us blaze the fire through first year. On election day, vote for change. You know will be happening under my leadership. Vote for Fabian Morris. I end by saying, una lex, una familiaris, one law, one family. God bless.
Thank you, Fabian Morris, the fireman. Fabian clearly has started a lot of work. So, will you vote for the fire? Will you vote for the Heart of Love initiative? Will you vote for what they don't teach in law school? Will you vote for the fireman? Thank you so much, Fabian. And if we were face to face, I would just ask everyone right now to give all the candidates a big round of applause, because I really think they did a great job. They were very festive, very buzzy. And just to remind you of the candidates: Alia Da Silva, Rally with Ali. Karen Dawson. Karen says she's there for you and she cares for you. Fabian Morris, the fireman. And Odell Darlington, bringing you the WASP initiative, Odell Darlington. vote Odell to excel. And I want to invite my co-moderator at this point to come and to introduce himself. It's never too late. And I want to say just one thing before. Many of you first years may not know, but Shamar Bryan, the current Mr. Law, was also a candidate for the first year election. So this is a very familiar territory, I should say, for Shamar Bryan. Mr. Bryan.
Thank you for that, Ms. Richards. And good evening, everyone. Sorry for my late entry. I've been having some technical difficulties. However, the debates must go on. So, without further ado, we shall go on to the Q&A section of the night. So, firstly, this section is dedicated to the Q&A for the judges. So this is dedicated 15 minutes for any judges that may have questions for these candidates. And these questions may be communicated by using the raise hand feature on the Zoom call. So we may begin. The 15 minutes is now on the clock. Judges, your hands, please.
The judge is not bringing the fire.
All right. Good evening, everyone. All right. Let me just start by saying, well done to the candidates. Naturally, you guys would have entered university in a very different time, and so we're very appreciative, and I'm very understanding, especially when persons can come up here to want to lead students and have such excellent ideas. So I'm going to start out, before I allow other judges to I have one question to all the candidates, so you can jump in at any time. So throughout all of you guys' presentations, many of you have similar programs, such as academic concerns, social welfare, and much transition into the legal space. However, and speaking from the experience as a year representative, one of the most important things will be to be able to connect to the heart of your year group. You will have basically 200 people. As a candidate said earlier, all of your persons won't necessarily be extroverts. Not everyone will be introverts. So my question to all of you, hope you're hearing me, is tell us very briefly, and your year group and the judges, what plans you have, or how you will be able to cater and to engage, you can list either to a plan or a method, the different kinds of people in the year group, from the persons who are introverts. I didn't hear much of plans for creative persons. I know all of us were used to saying, let's have developmental sessions with lawyers, but we do have to acknowledge there are other persons here as well. I didn't hear, certain ideas. So your plans for the creatives, different from the extroverted persons. So just all of you, as well as persons who perhaps work as well and might not be in tune with certain programs that you are suggesting. Let me know if anybody needs clarity.
Should I give an order as to who should answer the question first, or will the candidates just volunteer themselves? All right, Alia Da Silva.
Hello, I'm hearing you.
All right, did you hear Mr. Wedderburn's question?
Yes, I heard it. So he's basically asking what are put in place, or will be put in place for students who are introvert and extrovert separately. So who will plan to engage those students, right? Am I correct?
Yes,
as well
how
as
you plan?
As well as?
Creatives, person who necessarily interest might be, let's say, in a rather than strictly legal field. Do you have anything for persons who want to move into entertainment, the art aspect of law, persons setting up their small business ideas, so that.
Okay, all right. So a means of social engaging persons, whether introvert, extrovert, as a unity form or for cohesion. I had a few social events where it really doesn't take much of whether be an introvert or extrovert. So it was even separate for, I have a plan separate for the females, for the males, and one where everyone comes together as a entire batch. So for females, it is solely named Sip and Talk, where ladies will on various media platforms where we will be able to de-stress as females and have girls talk. So the sip and talk is entirely whether you want to be champagne, wine, whatever it is. So around this, a lot of different activities will take place in this session, whereas persons get to share their views on different aspects of life. So it's not just entitled to education and so forth, but in terms of socially. I have gotten a suggestion from even a current first year law student for persons who have businesses, as they had requested that there be at least a WhatsApp group where persons who have businesses, they can share the links to their business and the products that are advertise their products in the group, because the setting of or general group may not be where they can share it if it's okay or not, but that group will solely be towards geared for to cater for those persons. So as it speaks to introverts in this sip and talk, really, persons don't have to necessarily. It's geared for persons to bond with each other, because yes, we have introvert, extrovert, but this session is mainly geared to for persons to bond together in terms of whether they have a vibe that other persons will like. They're drawn to certain stuff that other persons will like. And yes, some persons will get closer to some, while some will get closer with others. But with this kind of virtual space, we have to find other means and ways that persons can engage with each other. And through the ladies and gents night, it's mainly to facilitate persons in general, introvert or extrovert. And so those were split separately because ladies talk about different stuff, gentlemen will talk about different stuff. So they will be facilitated on that medium. Whereas everyone comes together, it would be called the Sing That Song, which is a karaoke and game night. As all
Excuse
first
me,
year
I
law
don't mean
students.
to interrupt, but Ms. Da Silva, with the essence of time, could we keep the answer to 1 minute left to finish up, please?
No problem. I'm on my last point. So with the Sing That Song, it's where law students will get an opportunity to come and showcase their talent as they sing their favorite genre of music and participate in exciting and thrilling games. These games and activities will vary based on recommendations of each and every student.
I hope that answer was pleasing to Mr. Wedderburn. So I would like to move on to the next candidate. Miss Dawson, would you like to step up and answer the question given by Mr. Wedderburn?
Okay, so thank you for the question. In terms of reaching out to introverts, I think that the games nights are actually really important for that because, as I had said, they would be in small groups, right? So it's not like they would feel pressured, say, for example, in the group chat where we have over 200 people in there. The small groups would have, say, maybe 10 or so people, so they would feel a little bit more comfortable opening themselves up to actually interacting with other people in that group. In terms of creatives, there was a talent night as well, but as you know, not everyone may feel comfortable displaying their talent or their passion that way. We could also have an exhibition where different, for example, if people are into actual physical art like making paintings or crafting or anything, there could be an exhibition where they display those. Of course, it would have to be online at this time. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And in terms of extroverts, I think that all of these opportunities are open to them, that they would have a good opportunity to come on and really interact with everyone. In terms of businesses, I think that what would be a good idea would actually make a database of which businesses there are in the first year group, as well as highlighting a specific business each month to really put them out there, not just like, oh, that you have these businesses and they're all always promoting themselves, but just to specifically highlight one each month. I think that would be a good endeavor. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that answer, Miss Dawson. Now, Mr. Darlington, are you ready?
Yes, and I also want to thank the judge for that question. It's an interesting question and one that must be tackled. So, to establish this issue where we're having introverts and extroverts, we have to reach out, especially to students who we realize aren't really participating much in what we have going on. We have to reach out to those students, know what the issue is, level with them, because it's so important to level with your students and understand things from their perspective. To level with them, inform them about the importance of coming together. Because honestly, university is not a one-man road. The degree is not a one-man degree. All for one for all. So let's just reach out to those persons, level with them, explain to them the importance of coming together. So my initiatives such as the movie nights where persons will come and luxuriate and have fun with each other, and also to the games night where they'll come and have fun and run all over their house and feel the sting of the wasp. So also we have to, take into consideration that when persons are at these movie nights and they're at these games night, can form out into little groups, it's a study group. This is where bonds, irrefutable bonds are formed. Programs like this, we have to think about the online platform that we're in right now. Unprecedented times call for unprecedented decisions. So we're going to reach out to these persons, explain to them, level with them, and have them come and enjoy with us, because it's all about togetherness and it's all about being there for each other. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Darlington. Now, lastly of the candidates, Mr. Morris, will you attempt the question?
Greetings and salutations. Are you hearing me clearly?
Yes, sir, I'm hearing you clearly.
All right, beautiful. All right, Mr. Wedderburn, thank you for the question and I acknowledge it. I want to start off by saying first that I was taught by members, some of the members of the executive of the Mona Law Society, that I must always remember that just starting law school as a first year, I will not know everything. I will not know, the right thing and the right shoe to fit, but I must be willing to maintain a posture of service, to change and to adapt my plans. And so I am putting myself in that position when the time comes. But what I suggest today is a cultural explosion. The cultural explosion is that there are many persons in our year cohort that are multifaceted and talented. If we could get a situation using the online platform, the modality that we're utilizing now, to showcase the talents and to showcase all of the persons in our groups. You have some man can sing, some man can DJ, some man can dance. You understand what I'm saying? You have some persons. The idea even came onto me. I believe it's even the father gave me that idea. Whereas we can pull in other campuses. We can talk to other universities, where the other UE campuses are, and we can pull them in and we can have sessions with them in terms of cultural, them showcasing their culture. Apart from that, I want to also express that we have a Let's Go to Trial. Now, this plan is really, really dear to my heart, because the Let's Go to Trial, as I was talking to members from the Leo committee, they had said to me that they are not trained to conduct mock trials. And I'm wrapping up at this point in time. I know I'm going over my time, but they are not trained to complete mock trials. But while talking and getting the necessary assistance from the Leo committee, I get to understand that I could partner with NMLS students who are trained to have mock trials and mock sessions, so that we can pull those who are introverts. Because let's face it, law is not for the silent. It's for persons that can go onto the battlefield and to war. And that is what Fabian Morris is going to bring out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Thank you for that answer. And if any other judge at this time has any more questions for the candidates, whether specific or to all, please feel free to take the floor.
Oh, yes, definitely. I'm going to jump in. Good night again. My name is Jean-Mike Charles. I'm the immediate past president of the MLS. I'm happy to be a judge here tonight. My question is, per the rubric that I was given by your eminent returning officer, I was asked to elicit responses that catered to the topics of academics and welfare and crisis management as well, which is an important skill when it comes to student leadership. So my question, therefore, to any candidate who's brave enough to step forward and give an answer to your classmates is, what would your response be in a situation where all of your resources for academics and classes was down for a week? You didn't have any access to your slides, no tutorials or lectures were being kept, and the students were in limbo for a week, what would your response be? I don't need any one big solution. I want you to tell me within a minute, step by step, what your immediate response would be.
All right. Okay, go ahead, Alia.
Okay, so what I would do as also a first year student in terms of that, I would first try to reassure my classmates that even through we have made it so far through 2020 and all its adversities, and it's just 1 week of what difficulties with RVLE. And what I always do as a student is that I try to get my slides on my laptop and so forth before each week once they're uploaded. So given that in a week and we have no access to RV and lectures and so forth, I myself would have already had the slides for the upcoming week. So whereas I would be able to try to calm down my year group body as so that we encourage them that even through this we will get through, because as law students we're going to go through a lot more difficulties, and it's really just the resilient students within us as law students. And whichever materials that we have a course outline. So whatever course materials that are topic that we would have been on for that specific week, we have resources at our fingertips that we can all pull together as a body, as a cohort, and share with each other. Whereas we can even have sessions whereas we can come together, read up, and explain to each other what we think this is specifically speaking about. And whereas we might have differences in what we say, we can ask for assistance from even some of our seniors that, a lot of us have particular lighting to different courses. So persons above us can maybe assist in some areas and shed light on how we should move about talking about this point, how we should go about discussing and so forth. So we have learned so much in 2020, and if it should be the case that such events should occur on RVLE, we would be covered because we're resilient, determined, and hardworking students, and we don't give up even in situations like those. So I would go about at first by just helping my peers, just get calm and just said, all right, we got this, and just get back on the road. Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Da Silva. Miss Dawson, would you like to attempt this question?
Yes, please. So thank you for the question, Mr. Charles. So from the beginning of the term, I had actually created a Google Drive with resources, so that has already been implemented. It is always updated as soon as resources are put up online. That's for all courses, not just for law. Both the foundation courses there, everything is there, slides, tutorial sheets, worksheets, anything. In terms of what else I would do in a situation, that link will always be ready to share. Reassuring my fellow, year group cohort, but also in terms of that, I also usually type up a document with questions that come out of the tutorials, as well as answers that the tutor or lecturer would have given to those. So that would also be available. So if anyone wants to look over any important questions, for example, that they may have missed, the answers are all there, especially exactly the way that the teacher has said it. They're all there in order for them to review it. We're going to operate with the assumption that the tutors and lecturers will be a little bit more lenient, but just ensure that just emailing them just to get a little bit more compassion in that situation, to ensure that no one really has to worry that they're going to drop, like, for example, a pop quiz or anything on things that we would not have had the ability to look over in our own time in terms of rewatching the lectures. That's my answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dawson.
Let me just say,
Mr. Darlington. Sorry, Mr. Charles.
I won't ask all the candidates to answer in the interest of time, but I just want to say to the candidates who did answer, your responses were fair. And in a situation like that, I just remind you all that communication is key. So I like the fact that Ms. Dawson, you put in that you're going to have some communication with admin throughout that point in time to ensure that there was communication on both sides, as well as with your constituents. So good job there, guys.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Charles. With the interest of time, are there any more judges with questions?
Yes. If I can go ahead now. Good afternoon.
Yes, but with the interest of time, I would like the answers to be minimal to 1 minute, or if it could be specific to one candidate?
Yes, definitely. Okay, I would like to ask this question to Mr. Fabian Morris. Hopefully
Yes,
he's here
Madam President, I'm here and I'm listening live and direct.
All right, awesome. Okay, so the first tier position is a position in which takes a lot from a student. You are indeed a student first, and what I would like to hear from you is how are you planning to balance your academic responsibility while still maintaining the golden standard of service to your students?
All right, just let me pause for a quick second and gather. Mhm. Thank you for that question, Madam President. I must say that as early from as third form, it was always a challenge for me holding the fort and learning to adapt. You understand me? In balancing leadership and balancing all that I have to do. But if you ask anyone that knows Fabian Morris, they can tell you one thing about him. They don't know how he does it, but they know that through perseverance and they understand that through determination, he's able to get the job done. You see, a lot of times we say that we're tired, and it's really and truly, it's just our mental fortitude, not there. And I want us to understand that in such a position, we must grasp that in order to be effective, the person has to have clear, outlined, set out plans for his personal life. I have ascertained a plan for my life. I have looked at the things. I've actually cut some things that I was doing because I was advised by members of the executive that, Fabian, you're doing too much. Just to manage, cut off and ease off certain things. So I have placed myself in a position so that I can manage the workload of both studying law and operating in the position which I will be given after tomorrow. Thank you very much, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. If there are no further questions, then
Hi, Shamar.
Ms. Campbell, you'd like
Yes,
to ask a question?
yes, I hope you can hear me. I have slow flow, so please bear with me, and you can just say it over to the candidates. I have a few questions for Mr. Darlington. I really wanted to. I read your manifesto prior to coming on today, and you said something about having movie nights every 2 weeks. And quite frankly, I think it's really cute and awesome that you want to have fun and inject that in the learning, but you have LMRW assignments, you have mid-semesters, you have school coming up and looking at feasibility. And then you had this sort of thing where you wanted to kind of have persons kind of venting to you or coming to you. And I understand your representatives must be open and accessible, but to what extent? You're not here for a therapy session, you are an attorney in training and you are a representative. So I really want to ask specifically, are you going to strike any healthy boundaries in your role as a first year representative? And it kind of stems into what Madam President would have said, striking the balance between your role and responsibility, as well as your academic pursuits, and the feasibility of this movie night, considering that you have so much work to do, coupled with your Water Wednesdays. I want to look at how you're going to kind of navigate this virtually. And COVID response, how is it that you're going to really help to augment their students coming together, learning and development while we're under the umbrella of a pandemic? It was a lot of questions, so I can go over and segment them bit by bit, but those are some of the things that really jumped out for me. So I really wanted to know, I need to hear the healthy boundaries that you're striking. You're not a therapist, you're here to represent. I need to know feasibility of your movie night as well as your Water Wednesday. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, your overall COVID response, what is it that you're going to do? Any partnerships, any collaborations to really address specific issues, if you know any, of the student body? So you can go ahead when you think that you've really cemented everything and you have a response for me.
Mr. Darlington, are you here?
Yes, I am here. So first question is how I'm going to strike a balance, and that's the question. That was the first question, right, Miss Campbell? How I'm going to strike a balance and manage?
Yes, that was the first one.
Okay, right. So I just state categorically that academics come first. And I'm definitely going to keep up on my work. I know it might sound like a lot because, movie nights every 2 weeks and we have a lot of work to do and all those stuff. But it's important for students to unwind, luxuriate, come together at least every 2 weeks. I didn't really have a problem with putting it every 2 weeks because we want togetherness, we want to remind that, especially COVID response that you asked later on. This is not me answering that, but let me incorporate it. The COVID response, we want to make sure that we're here for each other, make sure that everybody is okay. And we come together, watch a movie, have fun, and go back to the work. But the movie is not going to be the entire day, it's not going to be the entire night. It's just, is there an issue with the way I sound? Are you guys
please
hearing
continue.
me?
Continue.
Okay. So the movie night is not going to be an entire day. It's not going to be an entire night. We're just going to watch one movie and then go back to studying. Now, where you're speaking about my Water Wednesday initiative and how is that feasible and how I'm going to get that done. So, guided by my manifesto, we are going to see, as we can all see in the manifesto, we're going to have each student taking a picture of them drinking water, sending it into the group, so we can see that our students are staying hydrated and healthy. Now, yes, not everybody is going to do this, but for the persons that would do this, would inspire other people to drink their water and take the picture. Come on, look hydrated and nice. And with COVID response, I have my Let's Talk About This session. So we're going to come on a Let's Talk About This session. We're going to speak to seniors. We're going to speak to, me and other persons who are here to, just be there for each other. So we talk about struggles that we're going through at faculty. We talk about how we can overcome them. Talk about, how we can actually survive monologue. And also where you also spoke about the call me anytime. And you're saying that I'm not a therapist, and that's totally true. I'm not a therapist, and this is why I'm going to have office hours. So you call me anytime during the weekdays from 12 to 5 o'clock, and on weekends from 1 to 3:30. Of course, you can't call me 2 o'clock when I'm sleeping and wake me out of my sleep and say, oh, then I need some advice on this. I can be there for you when I can be there for you. And we have to understand that communication is a two-way street. My students have to meet me halfway, and I meet them halfway, so we can have this entire thing run smooth and effectively as possible. Thank you.
And
Okay,
Odell,
thank
sorry,
you, Mr.
just to keep you, I have a follow-up right there because I was going to ask. So Tom already jumped on the fact that you have social events every 2 week, movie, and she spoke about those issues already. My question is, and funny enough, even where persons have all these social events usually to for integration and everything, a lot of times, sometimes we still struggle, especially in first year, with getting every single, well, not even every single, a good amount of people still to come out to these, especially where you're going to have them so infrequently, every other 2 weeks. How are yours going to be different? Because every other, other committees and MLS are going to have also other activities for integration. And so sometimes people have them work schedule, people trying to support every MLS committee. How will yours be different? Since, you defended it so well, attentively. So how will your social events even be different to make people come to it and be interested and it make a difference?
Thank you very much. That's interesting. That's also a good question for me to tackle. Now, how would I be different? There's going to be a Google form going out in the group for students to recommend specifically what kind of movies they want to see. Majority rules. There are going to be Google forms as well going out to find out what students want to play at games night. So everybody go come together. We're going to find the fun things to do. So it's not going to be normal. It's not going to be average. It's not going to be mediocre because we don't support that here. I'm going to make sure that everything that I'm putting forward is as exciting as Odell is. So it's going to be as exciting as Odell is, and it's also going to represent the majority view of the faculty. So communication is key, and I want everybody to participate. Come out, feel this thing, and watch the movie, and then we can go back to study. Thank you.
Question, I don't mean to interrupt, but Mr. Wedderburn, could you please just repeat the question? It's a lovely question that I just want to hear.
Well, it was specific to something in Odell's manifesto about his social events, but I don't know if in the interest of time we'll allow other candidates to jump in. Shemar, Akila, advise.
Not at this time. We'd like to move on to Mr. Richardson at this time, the final judge.
All right, good evening, everyone. I had one question per candidate, but I'll just stick to one question that I'd like everybody to answer. So, as you know, when you form your committee, or when you become the representative, you'll have your own individual plan, but you become a part of a larger executive in an organization. So I just want you guys to talk to me about the scheduling of your various activities. Have you reached out to the GenSec to see if your plan can fit into the already created calendars? And how do you feel about the feasibility and practicality when those things are taken into consideration? So it's to everyone.
Let's start
So
with Fabian Morris. Fabian, did you hear the question?
Yes, I believe I heard the question.
All right, go right ahead.
The feasibility and the practicality, and if we consulted. Now, I like that word because I try not to do anything without consultation. And I can proudly say that I've consulted most of the executive members of the MLS, and I made sure that they saw my plans. I was grilled. People, family, I was grilled. And my plans came out as gold because of that. Because I pushed and I worked and I ensured that these plans were feasible, especially, and hats off to Madam President, hats off to the General Secretary, hats off to the second VP, hats off to the Leo, the person in charge of Leo Committee, Madam Shannon Young. Now I must get into the nitty-gritty of it, and I must say, for example, becoming a lawyer, the road to the courtroom. I spoke to them about it. I envisioned it. I didn't want too many activities happening in the week because what we recognize is that the MLS calendar is already full. Every week there is something, literally. So the MLS executive, most of them said to me, Fabian, you will have to be willing to adapt and change your plans and also partner with a lot of your plans with what the MLS is already doing, seeing that a lot of them are a little bit similar and can also merge to make a bigger and better partnership. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to only better our students, but we want to ensure that the Mona Law Society is also, the agenda of the Mona Law Society is also furthered. So I hope that is answering the question, Mr. Richards.
Okay. Miss Dawson, would you like to attempt the question?
Yes, I would. Thank you for the question. So, while I did not consult with the secretary, I do actually have a plan for around the time period when these events would be. And I do think some of these could be combined into other efforts, but for the most part, okay. So the games night that would happen in second semester, I don't really see any time for that happening this semester. It seems like there's a little bit too much going on right now. Academic games night would happen closer to the end of each semester, closer to exams, as this is a revision endeavor. Internship fair ideally would be around February, since we would need to start preparing for where and when we're going to be interning. Ideally, the lawyers coming in to talk to us would be in about March. Deans of Scholars, again, would be closer to exams, ideally. And the budding lawyer benefit night would hopefully be by the beginning of semester 2 to give everyone a chance to actually prepare, and, whether that's recording or finding recordings of their performances to propose there. It wouldn't be, say, for example, January, because we will still need time to get sponsors and stuff for that endeavor. So it would probably be in about early February or so. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Miss Da Silva, would you like to attempt the question?
Absolutely. So thank you for that question, Mr. Richards. And to answer your question, no, a consultation was not done with the secretary re the plans and initiatives. However, one of my initiatives had already started, which is the MLS Christ Night, which is hosted on Fridays at 8. And so far, it has been a feasible time for the first year, and if needs be, however, it also caters to Adventists, a perfect way to start their Sabbath. So at it, we found it feasible to have it at that time. However, one of my initiative, which was not mentioned in my speech because time ran out, was the seat initiative, which is secure your seat at the bar. That is strategic, empowered, and activated trailblazer, which is my, which is at the forefront of what I want to carry out in this year, if represent, if elected. So with this initiative, it is basically to facilitate motivational, personal, and professional development sessions for first year students because, most of us are coming from high school and there's a lot for us to learn as individual. And sometimes, the workload is going to get really hectic and we need a motivation. We have to build as individual daily because we all evolve, catering to persons who work and so forth. So these sessions would, yes, be consulted with the MLS executive to ensure that it does not clash with any planned event. So these sessions are really open to a time and date depending on ensuring that there is availability there about. But as so far, my plans that I have, they are mostly having to do with, in the night sessions and so forth. But however it is that it may sit perfectly on the MLS schedule, we would work towards ensuring that the MLS and the first year representatives can reach to a middle ground as to when and where the events can take place.
Okay, thank you for that, Ms. Da Silva. Now, lastly, Mr. Darlington, would you like to attempt that question?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you for that question. Now, when crafting my manifesto, I consulted with my second VP, O'Neill Cardinaldi, about a few faculty activities, but not exactly the calendar with the secretary. So when elected, I'm sure I will have access to the faculty calendar. And when I have access to that calendar, and then I can reschedule any clashes. If there are clashes, I can reschedule them and put in place other dates and time for my initiatives to go through. Because let's face it, we're all humans, we can't always foresee every consequences and such. So when the time comes and there's a clash, it will be fixed and my initiatives will be in place, it will still be going on. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I have another question from Miss Janelle Small. Miss Small, you may take the floor.
All right, thank you very much for that, Shemar. And, I just like to point out that, all the candidates did a good job of consulting the Mona Law Society executive in researching their manifestos. So, we want to appreciate that and that they did research their positions. Okay, so my question is going to be to Karen. All right, so the question is, due to the change into the online modality of learning, the University of the West Indies and particularly the Faculty of Law have experienced increased levels of plagiarism. And now, of course, the faculty and the administration has a part to play in decreasing those levels. But what can you, as a representative, do to ensure that you try your best to encourage students not to plagiarize and to do their own independent work?
Okay, thank you for the question, Janelle. So, in terms of encouraging them not to plagiarize, well, I need to make them aware of the actual consequences of plagiarism in the first place because they are quite severe, and I'm sure no one wants to be subject to those consequences, especially because we have just started our journey. If that is not enough of a deterrent, I know we have Turnitin as a platform to use. I would really implore them to use that to see, if we can use this platform, our teachers are also going to be using it. So if you put it in there and you see that it's like an 80% plagiarism rate, something is wrong and you're going to be in trouble. You're going to face some consequences. Moreover, I'd like to encourage them also not to collaborate on work that is individual work because it is much more fulfilling getting the grade that you deserve from work that you have done yourself rather than collaborating or cheating or whatever else and getting a grade that you do not deserve while also risking your place at the faculty. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Dawson. So if there are any more questions from the judges at this time, please let it be known.
All right, so I'll just jump in and ask this final question to Mr. Silva. I want to know the purpose really for the various WhatsApp groups that you create, seeing as though the faculty is pretty homogeneous in terms of everybody does the same courses in one class with the exception of the tutorials. So is it really the best thing for you to create various groups for other courses considering WhatsApp fatigue in the COVID and WhatsApp group fatigue?
Okay, so thank you for that question. As it speaks to the WhatsApp group, it was solely surrounded with the law courses. As for this specifically, because we're all in different tutorials and so forth, and it would not be best to have so many tutorials groups. So whereas we have like standard WhatsApp group for the specific law courses, in these specific groups, we're all in different tutorials, so we would all receive different feedback and so forth from different tutors, and with these we can go ahead and share with each other in those specific groups whatever materials and so forth for each of those courses that we have. We can go ahead and share in there, speak on whether it's a worksheet or tutorial question, and help each other along the way. So because with a current group what we have now where everybody is in it, sometimes the messages can be so overwhelming and persons find it so hard to find the messages that they do need to see, because it's also used as a social group because of the virtual space. So these WhatsApp group would basically just cater to student needs to get relevant information to relevant courses or the specific courses per se, because you know how it can go when you have a lot of courses, you have a lot of material. So with the separate groups, we can have them in one media heading, so you can just go into that specific group and click on your media and you can access whatever material you want for each of those courses. So that was the really what was going through my mind when I thought about the WhatsApp group for the law courses in specific.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
Right.
Silva.
Shamar, I'll beg the indulgence and Matty to ask this last one. Not going to be for everyone, just for whoever actually wants to jump in. And then I know our time is wrapping. So for me, I've really loved hearing some of you guys speak. For me, this question is basically, I've heard a lot of you guys' plans and initiatives. But for the 76 people currently in this right now who are in your year group, this will be first and foremost a people-centric position. It's going to be about engaging and dealing with people, and I'm sure that's most of them will want to address. So my question is,
hear me?
Yes. Oh, yes, we are.
Hello?
And so you'll have to be handling the different personalities
Hello?
and people coming to you and speaking. So my question is, for anyone that wants to jump in, how will you be, any of you, how will, plans aside and this initiative, how will each of you be able to, inspire confidence in the 78 people here now and the near 200, or make them feel like you are someone that they'll be able to come to, speak to, express their issues, personal perhaps, that lays in touch with school. So this is just in different personalities. How can you inspire confidence that you can be able to do that? Because it's going to happen anytime or night. Thank you. And that's, I think, a perfect way for us to end out if there's no more questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wedderburn. So any one candidate would like to take up this question?
Come, candidates, this is the final question from the judges. So I would...
Hello.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Fireman.
All right. Mr. Wedderburn, thank you very much for that question, and I appreciate it. And I was talking to a candidate. I was talking to a regular, friend of mine, and they were saying, Fabian, how are you? Same question along the line. How are you going to galvanize and rally? You understand me? And so one thing I know, I'm not gonna politicize it, is that people usually tell me that I have the ability to rally the troops. I like that term. To get the people together and to help them to remain focused in unprecedented times. If I can make this one personal and talk to those of us who know the struggles who understand that we did CXC in a strange and rough time. I want to talk to some persons who, after doing C, we had to wait. Lord God.
Keep it short, Mr.
Yes,
Morris. Keep
yes,
it
man.
short.
The fireman is coming now. We had to wait, and during that period, the fireman was there. The fireman was there, and he did not have any political aspiration in his mind at that point in time. But due to what God has given to me, that is what I will use to birth our people and to galvanize our people and to unify our people in unprecedented and capricious times. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Morris. Yes, we can see that the floor is hot. Questions jumping in and the answers matching that heat. So we would
Any
like
other candidates to answer Mr. Wedderburn's question? This is the last time to give it a try.
Okay.
All right. Okay. We will
Oh, wait,
close
Miss
the segment.
Dawson.
Buddy. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so thank you for the question, Mr. Wedderburn. I will do my best to address this. So when people have expressed problems in the group, I have actually been reaching out individually to them to just talk to them, on a more personal level so that they feel it's a bit more comfortable. So I keep on doing that. And if there's a situation where they're still going through something and they don't say anything in the group, just doing certain things like showing that you're a very supportive person. I always say that, we're all stars, congratulating people in the group, just making sure that it is known that I'm very supportive. I am always here to talk. Just reinforcing that several times, just making sure I'm there to be a constant source of motivation and emotional support as well for the rest of the people in my cohort, as well as helping them through anything else. Thank you so much for the question once more.
No problem.
Thank you, Miss Dawson. I see Miss Da Silva would like to go for it.
Okay, so may I just repeat the question? I was having some difficulties and I was keep on asking if you were hearing me, so I was not hearing anybody else answering, so didn't hear the question. So could you repeat for me to answer, please?
Okay, so the question was basically you'll be having to plans aside, deal with different personalities and deal with people. So how will you be able to inspire confidence or make a year group feel like you're someone that they can even approach and speak to about their issues and the things that happen day to day? So more of a people's skills question.
All right, thank you very much for that. So given the experiences that I have had previous to coming to university, I've always been one who have rapped with person, but I've always been told that I am a social butterfly. But coming to university and having this virtual platform and so forth, I have found myself it was much easier to message person. So person would reach out to me because they're like, I see that you're very active in the group and you look easy to talk to. So on a regular, a lot of persons message me about issues that they may have or just speaking in general with me. So to keep inspirational persons, I would sometimes share some inspirational quotes in the group. Basically motivate persons to let them know, listen, you are a star, you are good enough, and everything out there that is great is waiting for you. So I always just try to motivate persons at all time. It doesn't have to be necessarily a special occasion, but just for persons to have a constant reminder that, hey, we are one law, we are one family, and we have to stick together because during this pandemic, that's really the only way we're going to get it done and get it done the right way. So yeah, pretty much.
Thank you, Miss Da Silva.
All right,
I don't want to leave it out like that. So I'm just going to ask Mr. Darlington if he would like to finish it off. Would you like to attempt
I
this
was
question?
just about to wonder why you guys are running away, leave me. So yes, I would love to answer that question. Thank you very much for it. So when I came into the WhatsApp group on WhatsApp, I recognized, there are a lot of different personalities here. So before I started texting the group, I observed the different people who were texting, what their mindset were, how they were talking, the language codes and those things that they were using. And I observed that. Then I realized, what, majority of the people here seem like fun people. I started texting. And I know perhaps I have the title of the class clone. I don't know. I hope not, but I think I have the title of the class clone. But I've used that as an advantage to communicate with everybody. I have a lot of persons, right, who text me, private message me, thing, and we talk, and have a few good friends, and it's just amazing. I feel like I know everybody in the faculty, and I'm pretty sure all 200 and plus persons know who Odell is. So that itself shows them that, I'm a going person. I can talk to anytime, whatever you have, just link up Odell. Look at the message, Cardi. Everybody knows I love Cardi. So it's like I'm an outgoing person. People know who Odell is. So that's what I do. I observe, and then I text, and then I talk to people based on how their personalities are. Thank you for the question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Darlington. And now we'd like to move into our next Q&A segment, being from our audience. I've been seeing hands going up. I've been seeing comments flaring up. So it is now your time. I've been seeing Miss Robinson, Miss Jewel Robinson, for the longest time now, with her hand up for her question to the candidates. So, Miss Robinson, are you here?
Yes, so I've been listening and writing questions, so I have a lot of questions, so you'll be reading back to me a lot. Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you clearly.
Yes, so my first question is to Odell and Karine, and it's a follow-up question to a question that had been stated before. So given the fact that we're in COVID and there's a lot of information on social media, and a lot of persons are experiencing information overload, how feasible do you think the WhatsApp groups are, and how do you assume engagement in those WhatsApp groups will go? And if you consider that there will be a low engagement in these WhatsApp groups, what is your alternative?
Okay, thank you for the question, Ms. Robinson. I actually didn't mention any formation of new WhatsApp groups, but I personally think that there are too many WhatsApp groups right now, so that might be a little bit more difficult to get engagement there. But it would have to include maybe having a time limit on when certain messages can be sent in specific groups, just to make sure that it's not like from sun up till sundown, you'll be getting messages from all the groups. That would be my solution. Thank you.
Odell?
Okay, thank you, Joel. It's actually Odell. Thank you very much for that question. It's a good question. So I didn't really say anything in my speech about more WhatsApp groups. In fact, I think the WhatsApp groups that are there now are very important and effective, because we have one group for social connection and another group for notification. So if the WhatsApp group social connection is concerned, is overwhelmed and a lot of messages are going on and you can't keep up and you don't know if you're missing important information, just head over to the notification group and you will get a notification of important stuff right there. It's never going to miss you. I personally is going to make sure that information does not miss you. So social group, notification group, utilize them. And if there are anybody in here who are not in that group right now, I implore you to reach out to me so I can get you added. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful, Mr. Darlington. Miss Robinson, you said you had multiple questions.
Yeah.
Would you like to pose the next?
So my question is to Mr. Darlington again. So in one of your responses to your questions, you had mentioned, well, I'm not going to quote you because I can't, but you had said that we can't reach out to you, if I believe we can't reach out to you at any time like 3 o'clock, you can help when you can help. Describe how that would go in relation to feelings of overwhelm and how you would deal with a large amount of persons reaching out to you at whatever time, because I believe a first year rep should be able to be there and go above and beyond for their classmates. So just tell me how you would deal with feelings of overwhelm and engaging a large amount of persons.
Thank you again, Joel. Very, Very good question. Now, with dealing with feelings of overwhelm, well, you call me, you reach out to me, whatever issues that you're facing, it could be academics, go right down to a little bit of relationship advice, because the emotional well-being of our students are important. And if our students are suffering emotionally, it defeats the learning process. And I want my students to learn. So if you're having emotional downfalls and anything, reach out to me, I'll talk to you. Now, where the overflowing of persons reaching out to me is concerned, I am going to have a subcommittee. So when I'm elected as first year rep, there's going to be a subcommittee with different persons who are going to be working with me. So if I realize that there's a overflow in the persons that are reaching out to me, I'll be directing students to speak to my persons from my subcommittee as well. Because let's be honest, I'm human. I can't answer every single phone call while everything is coming out at the same time. So I have to be pragmatic. So somebody will help me, and your responses will be tackled very effectively. Thank you very much.
Okay, I just have a follow-up question to that. Hold on.
Oh wait, hold on, Ms. Robinson. I would like to alternate between question from the audience and question from the Google form. So after this question that you're about to put forward, I would like Mr. Williams to bring forward a question from the Google form.
Okay, so your job as a representative is to be an advocate. And it was mentioned in that question given to you earlier that it's not your job to be a therapist. Taking on personal concerns of others can be quite a taxing activity. How do you foresee this taking a toll on your own mental health and well-being?
Well, let me just thank you for that as well. Let me just tell you, I'm a very outgoing and nice person, and I don't get affected so easily. So if you're going to come to me with your issues, it's not going to affect me in any way at all. I promise you that. It's just the personality that I have. I'm sure you all can see it through the screen right now. It's just the personality that I have. So if you come to me with your, and I know that your people out there are saying that, you know, your job is to advocate for us, it's not to take on personal issues. But like I said earlier, Jewel, the emotional well-being of our students is important. If our students are suffering from relationship breakup, issues in the family house, certain issues like that, you can reach out to me and I will be there for them. Because if you're suffering and you have academic work balance, you will not learn. I want my students to get A pluses, like I said in my speech. A pluses like we've never seen before. So the only way we're gonna get A pluses is if we are there mentally, we're there emotionally, and we are there academically. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Williams, could I have a question from the Google forum, please?
Okay, no problem. Pleasant night, everyone. Just before I give the questions, I just want to highlight the fact that we had 50 questions submitted for the candidates, and we're going to try and see how much of them that we can get through. So the first question is posed to Mr. Silva. It reads, earlier it was said students shouldn't download criminal law lectures. However, a few did. You apologize for supporting the mishap. However, another student shared Caribbean civilization questions that were supposed to be for their class only, and you supported it. My question to you is, how can we trust you as a first-year representative to represent us and to be the voice of our year group? Mr. Silva, the question is yours.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you for that question. Okay, so read the issue of downloading from the criminal law website with the recordings, as it was exactly stated by the lecturer and advised by persons of the MLS executive, that the best way forward to handle situations like these is to reach out with the lecturer and therefore find a middle ground for both students and teacher, whereas they will be benefited and so forth. So with that, I had agreed that we should take it into proper perspective and have dialogue with the lecturer, read the recordings being up for a matter of only 2 weeks. In terms of the, what did you say, Caribbean Studies multiple choice?
Caribbean civilization question is what they have here that was supposed to be for their class only, and it is being alleged that you supported it. And the question is, how can they trust you as first-year representative to represent them and to be the voice of the year group?
Okay, so I was not informed of messages only to be shared for one specific Caribbean civilization group. As a love cohort, we have been sharing materials in the group to benefit students. And so I am in one particular Caribbean civilization group, and any message that is shared there, most of the persons that are in Caribbean civilization and law at the same time. So if a document was shared, I have received no information that it was for a specific Caribbean civilization group of that sort. So whereas it is being asked how I can be trusted as first year representative to represent students with those two opposing matter of fact, had it been that I was aware that it was for one specific class, given the students were how the students as law persons were looking out for each other, I will not say that, because I mean a lot of persons probably didn't even know that it was for one specific class group. And had it been known to that, when they say that you encourage it, I mean it was not made aware that it was for one specific class. Everyone in the group was grateful for what. So once somebody sent materials in the group, we just slide up and say thank you. So no message was sent out saying it was for one specific group. And have it been that someone would have known that, it could have been shared. So
Thank you so much, Mr. Silva, for your answer. Shamar, back to you.
Hold on just a second. I just want to note that everyone from the audience is allowed to ask a question as much as we can take for the night, because your voice matters, your vote matters. And we just want to make it clear that we're not endorsing you to attack anybody, but you do have the choice to direct the question to whomever, as you are free to know what you want to know from each candidate, what you want to hear, so that you can choose your votes accordingly. All right, so feel free to ask. I would rather you open your mic and ask the question than send it via chat, as the chat can get flooded. So open up. Let us hear from you.
Okay, great night, everyone. So I have a simple question. As a person, we all have our shortcomings. What would you say is a personal flaw of yours that you can acknowledge to say, okay, this might affect how effective or how effective I am? And how do you plan to work on that? Goes out to anyone.
Candidates, your time.
I see Miss Dawson with her hand raised.
Thank you. So thank you so much for the question. So I think one of my weaknesses is that I tend to worry a lot, just about things, just down to the very last detail. In terms of working on that, I have started to channel that into trying to make sure that things go off as effectively as possible. Instead of worrying about what I cannot control, I try and focus on what I can, just to make sure that I do not become too anxious. I'm still aware, I'm still here available to serve you without getting too worried and rendering myself, an unfit representative. So that is how I have started to work on that. So thank you for the question once more.
Okay, does any other candidate like to attempt that question? At this time, feel free. If not, then, Ms. Da Silva, please go ahead.
Okay, all right. So I'm kind of missed out on some of part of what she was asking, but let me just review as to be sure as exactly what Miss Walcott asked a while ago. She was basically asking one weakness that the the candidates have that it kind of chipped out in between. I don't know if my internet or it was on her behalf, but I'm just gonna ask her to repeat right there for me, please.
Okay, so I was just asking what is a weakness, what is a shortcoming that you have acknowledged within yourself that would affect you as being the most effective as you can be, and how do you intend on working on it?
Okay, thank you for that. So one weakness that I have actually acknowledged with myself and currently working on is basically, I would say it would really be to ensure that whatever task that I'm taking on as not just a student representative, but because before I am a student representative, I am a human being. So with that, I would say it would have been in the area of my efficient time management. So in terms of with the balancing of schoolwork and extracurricular leadership posts and so forth, I just believe that yes, I am managing pretty well, but as an individual who always aims to better herself, as I always say that I evolve on a daily basis. I would say I am definitely working more towards better, like nailing the point of efficient time management and so forth, because having to have to get those A plus, and being a effective representative in a effective, efficient, and timely manner. So that would have been what I would say I am working on currently on a daily basis.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Silva. I see Mr. Darlington with his hand raised for the question.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. That's an interesting question to Peter Gay. Thank you very much for it. A personal flaw that I've realized, and it's something I'm currently working on, and I will get there one day, for sure. It's sort of kind of being too argumentative. So, especially when I know I'm in the right, I'm going to argue with you all day, all night, until we come to a solution, until you literally hear what I have to say and recognize that, I was in the right all along. It's not good habit, but it's also something I'm working on. And it can also be good in a way, determine and passionate about what you want. But also there is a limit, there's a boundary, there's a line, and I'm working on drawing that line and not to cross it and seem too problematic or argumentative. Because let's face it, I don't want to be that guy. I hate that guy. So that's something that I recognize as a personal flaw, and I'm working on it. Thank you again for the question.
Mr. Brian, may I go forward?
Yes, you may, Mr. Morris.
Thank you. I want to make this one personal again, family. I have a hard time communicating my personal feelings. A lot of times a lot of persons don't know this about me. I will be under stress and under pressure, and I don't really talk to anybody and let them know that I'm under pressure. And then, something gonna happen. And then person's like, but oh no, Fabian Ray and Fabian Chatlin and Ray and yeah, fighting in the battle. And so I see that as a flaw. I don't really open up to people. And in taking on a position like this family, and I'm talking to those who I'm representing, in taking on that, I will need a team. And I thank God for the mentors who I have, Shannon Young, Janelle Small, and Iqbal. Not the last name, yeah, not work. But I thank God for them because they keep me accountable. And they help me in moving away from the culture in which I was grown. And I'm ending now, Mr. Moderator. In moving away from the culture in which I was grown by my grandmother, which is don't make people know your business and always keep a smile on your face. No matter you could have dead, no do it. But I recognize that in order to show people the way, I will have to let the people feel what I'm feeling and understand what I'm going through so that I can help them and motivate them and carry them to the level that they need to get to. So I would use my flaw and utilize, work on my flaw so that I can help others to push, press, and push again. I thank you.
Thank you for that, Mr. Morris. I have a question coming from Miss Syria Marshalek. Syria, if you are here, you may pose the question.
Good night. You can hear?
I can hear you fine.
Okay. I have a question for Mr. Morris and Ms. Da Silva by extension. Are you guys aware that the faculty does not support spoon feeding in a sense? The faculty, they already provide a plethora of resources for us. You know, the recordings are there, slides are uploaded, you will link. We have also resources. Now, for Mr. Morris, the idea about the weekly update, and for Mr. Silva, the Google Drive with information and the email system, these ideas seem very much like allowing student underdevelopment, in my opinion, rather than student development, because they are leaning so heavily on what you provide. My question is, how will we develop under your leadership respectively, whoever wins, how will we develop as wholesome law students if we are leaning so heavily on your resources?
Before the candidates answer that question, sorry to interject, Shamar, I'm going to ask that all candidates keep their responses to under a minute so that we can have as many questions from the Google form and from the audience as well.
Mr. Morris and Mr. Silva.
Yes, I'm hearing you. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we're hearing you.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we're hearing you, Mr. Silva. Mr. Silva?
Hello?
It seems
Yes, are you hearing me?
Yes, we're hearing you.
Okay, all right. So to answer serious question, thank you for it, by the way. With the Google Drive or the email system, this is solely, well, the email system specifically is to ensure that students are always in the know really with like whether it be academically or the happenings of the faculty, as I would have already alluded to. With this is more of a reminder and support to students, because as law students, we can get really swamped, and sometimes just a prompt reminder. We have Gmail system that once you get a new Gmail or so forth, it's popped up on your screen, whether it be a little reminder that students really would find this important or appreciative of these reminders or these resources, because sometimes, even though we have gotten access to our ORVLE account and so forth, we do encounter problems getting on to the website and so forth. So with these materials are emails sent out and so forth, it's not necessarily as food feeding, but it's just being able to assist students where necessary, because given the fact that students may need something or so forth, it's an easy way to communicate with them and have information sent out to them that may be useful. I hope what I said had answered what you asked in specific regarding to me.
Mr. Morris, your answer?
Hearing me clearly?
Yes, sir.
All right. So thank you for that question. If you checked the Constitution, you would recognize that the class representatives are on both first, second, and third, I believe, are on the Academic Affairs Committee, which is headed by the second vice president. Now, one of the roles of that committee is to do curriculum reviews and to ensure that there is a quality assurance with the faculty and to correspond on matters relating to the academic functioning of the institution. Also, I want to I want us to understand that supporting is not spoon feeding, right? To the culture of operating alone does not exist, madam. And if you would also, if I may also state, as a matter of fact, this idea of us creating databases and also to send emails, weekly emails, bi-weekly emails, stemmed from the ideologies of those before us. May I revert back to plans from Madam Janelle Small when she was just entering as a first year representative. It was effective back in that time. So again, I end by saying that supporting is not spoon feeding, because on my system of the all-nighters, what we want to instill is determination and consistency, mental fortitude above all. As such, under my rigid program, there is no time to waste on spoon feeding. Not a culture of every man for himself and God for us all, but a culture of unity, single impenetrable unit as we push together. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Morris. So now we'd like to move on to the Google Form questions. Mr. William, if you please.
Okay, so this question is directed to Mr. Darlington. Mr. Darlington, in your first manifesto, you came with WAP, W-A-P. It was said to be inappropriate, and you came back by adding S, which is now WASP. And the question is, what is your view on respect?
Thank you very much for that question. And I do acknowledge that earlier I did come with a slogan that stated WAP, and I accept the wrong for that. I totally do it. I totally do, because I did not do my due diligence. I did not find out what was appropriate and inappropriate. And honestly, it won't happen again. So my views on respect is that respect is very important. And I should have gone out, spoken to persons about it, especially spoken to Matthew, the returning officer, or my mentor before I went into the group and put out such a grossly inappropriate slogan. I'm really sorry. I accept all the wrongs for it. It won't happen again. I respect the views of the society. I respect the standard, the golden standard of the Mona Law Society, and also the views of my students that are in the WhatsApp group. It won't happen again. Again, I am so sorry. Thank you for that question.
Okay, thank you.
Mr.
Mr. Williams, one more question?
Yes, please. This question is directed to Karen. Karen, this question is in relation to the budding lawyer benefit night that is on your manifesto. It says, are you capable of getting sponsors? How? And even so, how can you guarantee that they will pledge to match the student donations? Karen, your question.
Okay, thank you for the question. That is a really good question. So in terms of how I plan on getting sponsors, I'll actually start by reaching out to different companies and especially reaching out to firms as well, because we are the lawyers of tomorrow, so they should really want to support us, right? In terms of guaranteeing that we would get sponsors, well, really and truly would have to fight really hard to ensure that they are fully committed to matching our donations, or even if they are not committed to matching, if they're able to contribute in any other way, that will also be acceptable, just as long as they're able to commit and contribute to this initiative to ensuring that those incoming into the faculty do not have such a hard time. I am sure that there are firms out there that are very willing to come and help us. As we all know, as it was said before, scholarships are not very easy to come by for law. So I do think that it is very possible, and I do think I am very capable of getting the sponsors that we need for this initiative to get off the ground. Once again, thank you for the question.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Dawson. After one more Google form question, I'll be taking another from Mr. Giovanni Dennis. He's a part of the audience. So, Mr. Williams, one more Google form question, please.
No problem. This question is directed towards Fabian Morris. Mr. Morris, this question seeks to find out the methods through which you hope to source devices and modems for students? Mr. Morris, you have under a minute to respond.
All right, thank you for that question. So I have started to speak. The idea actually stemmed from an individual from the private sector. And the whole notion of it was that, Fabian, due to the tumultuous fees that you have to pay as a law student, companies don't really like sponsoring law. We all know that. And so in these unprecedented times, it should be our push and our fight to try to see how best we can solicit devices for the changing times. Now, I have spoken to, as I said before, the Rotaract Club of St. Andrew, Kingston and St. Andrew, which recently they paired up with Computer Royal and with Jamaica National Bank to give over 10 desktop computers to some students, right? And they said they like the idea and they're open to it, but the key thing is partnership and collaboration, and we must be open to partnership. As a matter of fact, I spoke to the UE Mona Library, and because they have a tablet drive going now, and they said what we can do, Fabian, is strengthen the collaboration to see if we can get more tablets and more devices in. You understand me? Because they're doing a good job as well under their tablet drive. So we could strengthen the ties as well there. And they said that they like the partnership and they will be in contact. So I hope that answered the question.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Morris.
thank you, Mr. Morris. Now, I would first like to take this question from Miss Colleen Burge. So Colleen asked towards Fabian and Alia, how do they intend to keep the conversation strictly academics and not straight totally causing the night to be a waste academically? That is towards Mr. Fabian Morris and Miss Alia Da Silva.
Alia going first or should I go?
You may go first, Mr. Morris.
All right. So I don't know if Madam Colleen took a look at the plans that I have, but someone asked me this though, because of the tendencies that we have as youths, as young people. We're exuberant, we're vibrant, we're full of vibes. But under the no sleep in the Gideon, as I would call it, it will be 2 nights for the month, hopefully. And it would be an all-nighter, because since before I came into UE, I always was being, you know, my seniors always spoke to me about the all-nighters that they would have at the library and stuff. So I said, we have to do something virtually, that. And so what I would do is partner with our seniors. I've already started to speak. I spoke to Madam President about it, and the idea was well received. Once it is moderated, we can work it. Because what we could do, I even spoke to Mr. Cornaldi, who is the second VP in charge of academics. And I know if I partner with him, we can run the sessions and ensure that the sessions are guided and it works. Once everybody have them coffee and them cup and them tea and them sugar, ready for the road. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Morris. Before Ms. Da Silva goes on to speak, in the essence of time, I will take only the last 3 questions that have been sent in the chat. And I will take an extra 5. Yeah, I'm being generous. Let's take an extra 5 from the Google form. So the last 3 questions that were mentioned in the chat and 5 more Google form questions. Ms. Da Silva, you may now continue.
Okay, thank you for that question, Ms. Colleen. Here. All right, so in terms of the sessions that were scheduled, sorry about that. There was a feedback with another device. So in terms of the study or tutoring sessions, as how to not have them be deemed as wasted. So basically with these sessions, we have, well, originally a student had already had a session where she spoke on a topic that specifically that persons were having some issue with, and it has proved to have been effective for a lot of students. So given the brilliant students that we are, and once we've mastered a specific topic, we are very much capable of um, presenting back information to students in a easier way, as persons tend to learn from each other. So with these study and tutoring sessions, yes, it will be solely on the basis of volunteerism and persons who are comfortable and willing to host the sessions on the specific topics. We would also seek to, as I would have alluded to earlier, to get help from our seniors who are strong in a specific area or topic or had done it before and can still shed some light on it. So it's not just us that will be in these sessions, but we have persons who are in higher grades or sometimes even a tutor that we may reach out to, and they're available at that specific night or day, whatever time it is scheduled for, and they're able to join in just to guide us, because it's not that we want to test our brains or our knowledge to see how best we can share back information with our mates that we would have reviewed on our own. So in this, not only are they teaching others, but they're learning from them for themselves.
Ms. Da
And to
Silva, you might have to wrap it up.
Okay, I'm wrapping it up now. So as law students and so forth, I think it's imperative that we're able to read and encapsulate so much that we can even share back to persons, and we can get assistance from other persons. So it would really not just be a waste of time academics. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Matthew, can we have another Google Forum question, please?
Okay, sure, no problem. So this question is directed towards Karen. It's in relation to your manifesto point, Karen, on lawyer talks. So you had stated that you'll get lawyers to come, but are you actually able to get lawyers to agree to this? How do you plan on doing this? Ms. Dawson, floor is yours. Response time under a minute, please.
Okay, so thank you so much for the question. First of all, in terms of getting them to come, first of all, we'd have to reach out them with adequate time before this event would happen, just so that they could actually schedule us in. In terms of also getting them to come, I actually do have contact with some lawyers who are in the industry right now, who I will be able to, or should most likely be able to, get them to attend this session. Thank you again for the question.
Thank you, Ms. Dawson.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Dawson. I would like to bring forth Mr. Garfield Goldborn. He had a question from the audience. Mr. Goldborn, if you're here, please step forward.
Good evening, everyone. Attorneys and law students, I put it in the chat, attorneys and law students are expected to at least verbally express well. How do you feel about your speaking skills, and what have you observed in our cohort? Further, B section, do you think there needs to be any debating skills complementing mooting activities, and what would be your plans to address any deficiency? Golden standard.
Mr. Goldborn, who is this question directed to?
Two persons, fireman Fabian Morris and Karen.
Okay, thank you. So Mr. Morris, would you like to start us off?
All right. So thank you for that, Mr. Garfield. Yes, that's true. I'm looking in the section now to make sure that I'm following your question. So how do I feel about my speaking skills? People usually tell me that I can speak and I have the tendency to draw people and stuff. I don't believe it, but I tell people that I'm still learning, and I put myself in the posture to continue learn. I've developed myself. Most times I was in the debate club at Jamaica College while I was there, and I put myself in the position, you understand me, to develop that skill and sharpen that skill of public speaking. Apart from that, you ask, there needs to be debating skills complementing mooting activities. So the Leo committee, we have to be careful because you see the Leo committee has been having a range of activities, and we would have seen they've been having mooting, and they are putting on debates, and so we have to be very careful. I have a plan called Let's Go to Trial, but that plan is specifically for like a mock trial, you know. But as it was explained to me by an executive member, we aren't trained to have mock trials. We can have debates, you understand me, that are tailored towards
Keep it
us.
short, Mr. Fabian.
Have to end 10 seconds?
Yes, wrap it up.
All right. So we have activities that are specifically tailored for that. So that's what I wanted to know. So like, Let's Go to Trial would be partnering with NMLS students specifically to get that done, to put up debating. So yeah.
All right, thank you, Mr. Morris. So we have two final questions, and I'm going to ask the candidates to just answer them as quickly as possible. I'm seeing one from GT, and I'm seeing one from Joshua. We do apologize, Joshua, for overlooking a question. We are very sorry about it. Wasn't done intentionally. All right. And Joshua, you want to? Okay, I'm seeing it. So Joshua's question, is it posed to any particular candidate, Joshua, or I should just ask it openly? All right, I'll ask until we find out if it was directed to a particular candidate. Says, UE is a diverse community of students. What are the candidates' standpoints on LGBTQ support groups for that marginalized community? Okay, I think he repeated support groups. So the question is, what are the candidates' standpoints on LGBTQ support groups? All right, any candidates? Candidates, your role is to represent, and
I'm
so
seeing a Mr. Odell Darlington with your hand raised. Mr. Darlington, are you attempting the question?
Yes, I'm going to attempt that question. Thank you very much for that question, Joshua. I would like to firstly state that what's wrong with Joel? I'd like to firstly state that we accept that the university is a diverse population, and it is indeed important for us to take into consideration the LGBTQ community. These persons, they are human beings. They have their rights. They are expected to be a part of the society just as anybody else. So definitely, my standpoint personally, or let me just say, as my capacity or my role as first year representative, definitely supporting LGBTQ support groups and stuff like those, because it is important that every single person in the law faculty feel included. It is about integration, no prejudice, no bias, nothing at all. Come here, we're one faculty, we're one law, so it's all about inclusivity, and it's all about being there for each other. Whatever it is, be it that, be it whatever, my standpoint is we are firm on supporting each other. Support above all. Thank you very much.
all right,
Okay,
thank you,
you,
Mr.
Mr.
Odell.
Darlington. So, shall we move on, Ms. Richards, or are we going to accommodate Ms. Da Silva?
Mr. Silva wants to answer the question, then Mr. Silva should in a very short time.
1 minute, time going.
And to keep it short. So from personal standpoint, being a very open-minded individual, I don't have an issue with supporting LGBTQ support groups, as persons have a right to their sexual orientation or anything in that sort of case, and we're all humans. We all have or freedom to all of that is related. And so for me, it is really an individual choice as to how he or she wants to go about with their life. And I do support any human being who make their choices, as long as it's not harming anybody specifically, because given that you're just in a support group, everybody should be okay and respect person's choices, and it is their life and what they have and does matter.
All right, thank you, Ms. Da Silva. Joshua, we hope we could have
Is it
accommodated you
possible
right
for
there.
another candidate to go forward on this for 1 minute?
Keep it very short, Mr. Morris, because we don't want to trade too much into morality. We want to keep it on a matter of
Definitely.
representation and advocacy.
Yes.
Can you do it in 30 seconds?
Yes, we're not having an LLS session at all. Now, I want us to understand that all humans are equal, and respectful interactions should be kept paramount. Now, understand that mental health is a real thing, and as such, we must not and never infringe upon the right of another. We must ensure that their mental health is secured so that they can get their degree. All right, later.
Thank you, Mr. Morris, for keeping it short. All right, so this is the final question, and I understand that there may be more persons with questions, but we cannot go any further. We do thank you for coming out and for, engaging so much. We appreciate it, but Giovanni Dennis has been asking or trying to ask this question, so I'm going to just say it for him. What's the current diplomatic relationship with counterpart UTech law? Would you seek to advance this relationship, and if so, in what way? Quick and short answers for me, please.
Ms. Dawson,
Okay.
would you like to attempt?
Yes. Thank you for the question as well, Giovanni. So I think that the relationship between UE and UTech law faculties, I think it can actually be a lot stronger than it is right now. And in order to foster that unity, because, I think there's also this big misconception that people have that UE law is better than UTech law, which shouldn't exist in the first place. That misconception should not exist. I would like to reach out, and extend the olive branch to them, maybe invite them to a couple of our game nights or even the academic games night, because at the end of the day, we are still going over the same content. We are still going to be lawyers. We're still learning the same information. And I think it is very important that we remove those boundaries, remove that stigma, remove those misconceptions to make sure that we can be a better and a more cohesive group with or neighboring school. So that's my answer. Thank you again for the question.
Thank you, Ms. Dawson. Any other candidates want to tackle the question and do so very quickly? All right.
If no candidate wants to step up, then we would have to move on to our next segment.
And this will be the shortest segment so far. We won't be long. Now, in this segment, we will be allowing each candidate to ask only one question. Now, that question can either be directed to another candidate or it can be asked to everyone, but I would really prefer you to direct it so to keep us within the time because we're already over time. So candidates at this time, if you have a question, just raise your hand and get straight into it.
Or if you would, Ms. Dawson.
Okay, so thank you for the opportunity. This question goes out to anyone who had a tutor any type of point in their manifesto. If this is a student from first year teaching other first years, how are you going to ensure that we are not fostering miscommunication, giving them wrong information? How will you ensure that we are answering their questions as clearly, as correctly as possible? Because yes, while it is good to teach about the information that we have learned, we may not always be able to shoulder those questions as best as possible. So how will you be able to ensure that we will be reiterating the correct information? Thank you.
My hand is raised, but I guess by the silence, it is to go ahead. So
go ahead, Fabian.
Thank you. All right, so I don't know whose manifesto is that, but in my manifesto, I have tutors against COVID, and I specifically outlined second and third years, our seniors mostly, because after careful consultation with members from the executive, they said that, listen, a lot of lecturers don't really, like to, you understand me, do those kind of stuff because of how busy the schedules might be. So what I did was saying, all right, I will speak to my seniors So for example, we would recognize that even O'Neill himself, the second vice president, he was doing that initiative in helping us in courses which he excelled in. So doing that kind of initiative is really and truly the right way to go. I would not at all tell us to let first years be teaching first years. So yeah, wonderful question, Karen.
Alia, your hand is raised. Do you want to answer that question?
Okay, can I go now? I had my hand raised.
All right, sure, go ahead.
Am I
Alia,
there?
no, we're not hearing you at all, Alia.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so I had a tutor study session in my manifesto plan, and I would have answered a question before that would have been very similar, and I would have already mentioned that, with collaboration with persons that are in a years ahead and are willing to, be a part of the sessions and, guide us, be a guiding, really a guidance to whatever it is that that is being shared with our peers. So it's not necessarily to be teaching us as the seniors, but merely there to just guide us in the event that we do make a mistake or there's a misunderstanding of a specific thing, because we are first year law students and there are cases where we might not understand something to a full extent. I would have also alluded to, reaching out to tutors, because really and truly, nothing is done unless you make an attempt. So reaching out to tutors that, I have really nice tutors, and they said, whatever you need, just reach out. So reaching out to these tutors would really allow us, once they have the time or the availability, to, sitting in a session for even if it's a short period of time, and ensure that we're on the right track as students, because we really need to get help from anywhere we can as a first year body. So yeah.
Thank you, Alia. And on that note, I want to ask you, do you have any questions for the other candidates? Well, do you have one question for any other candidates?
No, not at this moment.
All right, that's okay, Miss Alia. Any other candidates with a question? Please speak now or forever hold your peace. Mr. Fabian, no question. Mr. Odell, no question.
None at all.
I see Odell hand a while ago.
Right, so let me direct a question to Fabian Morris. Yay! So I read your manifesto, sir. It's an interesting manifesto. I love it. You might even get my vote. Well, till it explains this. So, Mr. Morris, I realize that you have something called a Fruitful Fridays. So, my understanding is that you're going to only represent us on every third Friday. But I have to wait every third Friday to hear from my representative to attack our issues that we're having in the faculty. Why must I, as a voter, and the students who are watching you right now as voters, comply to that rule when they have Odell call me anytime?
May I respond? Thank you. Thank you for that question. I'll try to be short. Mr. Ronaldo Richards, the former first year representative, did ask a question earlier. I think it was positive to you. And he said, how can you pack up your week with so many things as a law student? Please to indulge my curiosity as to how you can do so much. And so my phone will be open 24/7. If anybody wants to know my number, 325-3745. If you can't get me, you can reach me out to 911 and request for Fabian Morris. But apart from that, I can say today that I will not be packing up my weeks, and I will not be packing up students' weeks with things that can wait. And we thank God for the online modality. We thank God for, internet and everything. But at this point in time, we have to be careful. As I said, when I consulted my executive members, they said to me, Fabian, you're walking on thin line, and you must understand that at this point in time, the MLS calendar is full. You cannot be
All
overplaying
right,
your
Mr.
calendar.
Morris, we have to
Thank
stop
you
you right there. Thank you, Mr. Morris. Thank you. Thank you. And Odell, I hope your question was answered. No, with that said, we will have to close this segment. And I know the judges are more than ready to give us their remarks. Judges, over to you.
All right. Good night, everybody. Wow. Whew, what a riveting debate. And my name is Gina Small, once more, the Mona Law Society president and Faculty of Law Guild representative, and also the chief adjudicator for this debate. And firstly, I want to just start off by just saying congratulations to all the candidates. You are very brave to put yourself out there, and I must say that you have all done extremely well. So I'll be putting my hands together. Yes. Congratulations. And we are indeed proud of you. And I personally am very proud. You would have all spoken to me and we, had different conversations about your role as first year representative and so forth. So let's talk about tonight's debate. Before I give a general summary of what the judges came up with and the scores that we came up with for tonight's debate, I'm going to allow each of our judges 30 seconds to just give some general comments. So I guess we think we can start with Jamaica, Mr. Immediate Past President and my mentor. You can go ahead.
Hi, yes, as Janelle said, my name is Mike Charles. I'm the immediate past president of the Mona Law Society. It was a pleasure to judge this debate tonight. Not just for the entertainment value, we got some very good points from the candidates. My general comments, and let me try to restrict them to 30 seconds, are mostly that I think overall, the candidates need to give a bit more thought to both the feasibility and the necessity of their plans. Unfortunately, and this is a fact I'm speaking from experience as a past president of the society, half of these plans will not materialize. I'm not saying this to crush anybody's dreams or to break anybody's spirit. This is just a fact of the vicissitudes of Mona Law Society executive life. And I exaggerate, I do not exaggerate when I tell you this, that you will not achieve everything that you set out to achieve, and therefore your energies should be focused on leaving the on plans which will leave the biggest impact as it relates to academic development, one, first priority, and problem solving advocacy, two. That's really your main aims. Year group unity is a close third. Welfare and student assistance is a close fourth. Sorry, switch those two around. But and you should definitely put focus on these things, but your top two are where your biggest plans should be. So let me just say that one thing also I need to note as relates to the question that was asked earlier, as a lot of you have tutor programs on your manifestos, please, my best advice to you right now is to ensure that this is not first years teaching first years. I don't know if this was addressed because the judges were deliberating during that time, but please try to ensure that you get some senior students to help you out. Also, some of the plans, I found that were a bit, I don't want to use the word superficial, but they hit me as, I was just trying to put something on my manifesto. So I don't want to call out anything specific, but if it's not the most necessary thing right now, you can let it go. But overall, you guys did pretty well. Mona Law Society continues to produce excellent candidates for these positions, and I am proud of what I saw tonight. Congrats to all of you. I wish all of you the best of luck. I'm sorry that was not 30 seconds.
Yeah, likewise, I agree with Jamaica. The quality of the debate overall was really good. Really good presentations. I was particularly impressed by the quality of the manifestos aesthetically, although the substance was really on point as well. But reading through them, they were really nice to look at. And kudos to you for that. As it relates to the presentations today, I feel overall they were substantive. Some presentations could be a little bit more substantive, and just a general thing in terms of your style. If you're giving jokes, etc., then just ensure that the jokes are relevant to the specific situation so that it doesn't become the focus or the distraction in your presentation that complements what you're trying to say. With that said, I would also like to tell you, just when you're responding to questions, take a moment or two to just realize how you want to answer the question. So it's really good to do the little trick where you say, thank you so much for that question, while you think or formulate a response. That ensures that your answer is ordered, it's methodical, and that you get the best response out of you. So like you're and finally, just a general suggestion as it relates to WhatsApp groups. Trust me, WhatsApp group fatigue is a real thing. I have so many groups I've not opened in a long while. And that's because, especially now when it becomes a primary means of communication, people are not going to look at all the groups that you might want to create. So a good solution to that, and something that I did when I was first there, is to create a group that is only for announcements. So in that way, you can ensure that people can keep up with the important material separate and apart from the group that you use to socialize. With that said, I yield the balance of my time if there's any to the chair.
Shamar? Shamar.
So evening everyone. I saw someone comment that someone was harsh. Let me start by congratulating you guys. I know what it's like to come to a debates standing in front of every single person bearing the brunt of questions, and we do it because we love our year group. Honestly, we boast and say class at 2021 2022 are the best and the greatest, and I love how I saw that when you guys come and presenting in your passion, it really showed. So I won't be long. Just have two general comments. First one for me is, again, I really think you all have, and I hope you're still here listening, I think you all have very creative, excellent plans and things that you want into the names, especially have very creative names and everything. My comment or advice is just to, be open perhaps to flexibility and adapting. This is a very different time. And so overall with the debate, I have wanted, and perhaps, as you guys, whichever one of you wins, and perhaps all of you will be helping, is as you win, just to adapt and be more specific dealing with the issues that arise for the people. I was appreciative when I heard people mentioning the real things that's going to happen, like the internet connection and things with people dealing with COVID situation. That's very real. So I just want, in those cases, to deal and adapt. Be prepared also to be able to refocus and shift gears anytime. Because listen, we know it, and it's stuff that every leader struggles with. And I heard it at times tonight. We have our plans. We know what we want to do. We push and we say we're going to do it. I'm going to, but we have to also have that contingency in mind. And we also have to get ready and be prepared for us to shift focus and shift gears if it cannot be done in the same way. Almost all of you have legal person to carry in. Can we tie it, bring it into and merge into something that can have greater impact? So just again, overall advice to just be prepared for that in the leadership. It's not going to be smooth. I'm not going to be as harsh as Jamaica to say none of all of these are not going to happen. They might not happen in the same way, but I'm just going to implore you guys to stick to the impact and you guys will be fine. And the second comment, again, just speaking to the debate, and perhaps it can just be advice further on for the rest of your campaign of the election day, which is just, when you get your questions, Janelle's going to speak about it, but just method is very important. And so just strategically analyze how you're going to break it down. That's something we found in this debate sometimes. It's a few questions. It rambled and went around, and for judges it's sometimes difficult. So I wonder for the persons in here just to really hone in on, did they really address everything? And I guess the advice for your campaign therefore is to know you have your plan, you have your brand, you have the message you're trying to sell. Know what you are trying to sell, come with it, stick to it. We saw that excellently at times tonight, Janelle is going to get into. And once you stick to that, you're going to win over a lot of people. So all the best, everyone. Have an excellent night and the rest of election.
Hi everyone, good night. I hope you can hear me with my slow flow. So I thought the debates were really good, very good. I thought the candidates were very prepared and it showed in the substance of your arguments. And I would just say going forward, wherever you can collaborate, I would encourage it. It really makes the impact a lot stronger. So if you have us in idea, it would be really good to team up with the other members who would have shared that vision and maybe see how best you guys can coalesce your resources and just make it oh so awesome and better for not just your year group but for everyone at the end of the day. I would also stress, just prioritize. You are a human first, a student, and then a student leader. So strike the balance with getting an awesome GP and still being of service to the rest of your class. And above all, please, I would just say, be very organized. I am the queen of emails, and I know WhatsApp really can get a little bit crazy. So if you can email a lot of your comments and so forth, that just be one suggestion going forward. And you have 6 minutes to give everybody what makes you the best candidate. Stick to what makes you just so special and awesome, and what is it that how they can buy into the vision. So don't be too circuitous. Don't fill us with a lot of quotes and all of this verbiage, but just get into the meat of the matter and make us know and feel a part of the journey and the vision. And over to you now, Madam President. That would be just my few cents.
Thank you so much. So as chief adjudicator, I have the pleasure, I call it the pleasure, of, analyzing each candidate and, of course, giving the scores that the judges decided upon. And this debate was judged by method, which was worth 30 points, manner, 20 points, and matter, the most substantive, having 50 points. And just briefly, method speaks to the overall response of the candidate to the debate. And of course, the individual method concerned the structure and the organization of the speaker's presentation. Manner refers to the presentation and the delivery style of the speaker. I hope my internet is holding up. If somebody can give me just a nod in the chat. And of course, matter, the substance. It says here, the main objective of submitting a business proposal is to offer a solution to a problem faced by a prospective candidate or prospective client. And of course, as year rep candidates, we love to hear that you are nice and you have great words and you are exciting. But at the end of the day, do you have the plans to achieve the aim of being a first year representative? So what I will be doing is going through each candidate and just giving general comments and the score that they have come up on. And yes, so starting off with Miss Da Silva, we felt that you had great plans. We felt that you had good substance. We wanted a little bit more from you in terms of convincing us that you were the candidate to be chosen. We appreciated your plans and we kind of were considering the feasibility of some of them as it relates to particularly the group chats. But we do hope that you will take the concerns and criticisms of this tonight's debate and move forward with that. Hopefully you're still hearing me. My bandwidth is low. And as such, yes. And as such, the overall score that was given to Mr. Silva, the average of all 5 judges was 66. Okay, and now we move on to Miss Karen Dawson. All right, so Karen, we found that you were very calm and collected. We appreciated your method. But yes, it would be method and your manner towards delivering your presentation. We also felt that you had a great focus on substance. Again, we wanted you to inspire more confidence to the candidates, to not the candidates, but rather to the voters, to say, hi, yes, I am the candidate for you to choose. And that is definitely something that we wanted more from. But we were very appreciative of your organization and how strategic you answered your questions. And we felt that you did a very good job with that. As such, your score tonight was 82. Moving on to Mr. Odell. All right, so for Mr. Odell, we wanted a little bit more substance. We were again concerned with the feasibility of some of the plans, and we felt as if more plans could have been targeted to student issues being faced. I think one judge noted that on the matter of communication, it really isn't feasible to have students call you at any time, but we appreciated that having been asked that question, you mentioned it, you mentioned office hours. We felt that that could have been in your manifesto. And finally, the other criticism would be we need professionalism from our candidates, and we felt like you did a good job, but we wanted a little bit more from that. All right. And for your score was 60, the average judges, the average collection of all the judges. And finally, Mr. Fabian Morris, the general criticism is that we wanted you to balance your exuberance with your humility. Because in this job, being a law student, we want to ensure that all individuals feel as if they can approach you and talk to you. And so we want you to work on that. But generally, we were very impressed with your confidence throughout the debates, and we felt that your plans had substance, and so we appreciate that. And your general score was 77. As such, the highest score tonight was from Miss Karen Dawson with a score of 82. Then all judges, some of them were mentioned before, and I'll just add. My thing is, I think Tamoy said it, you are a student first. Let me say that again. You are paying $1.41 million US for your degree. And it is important that you remember that. I remember in my first year, being a first year rep, after I got elected, I was told, I believe by Shamar Wedderburn, you cannot be the first year rep who fails. You can't. You literally cannot be the first year rep who fails. You have to be an example to show them that you can get the grades. And it is, I'm telling you from now, being a first year rep is hard. It is not something that we can just, it's hard. It gets hard to manage everything. And so we want you to remember that while you are giving service, you have to balance it with your academic life. The COVID-19 situation is something that all as leaders, I mean, even as president, I didn't expect my presidency to be like this. I remember somebody online guild, and with that, we have to be adaptable. We have to be adaptable. And so we want the candidates to remember that. I think the Mike said that, I mean, the sad reality is that not all events or plans will be achieved, but you need to focus on the main objectives. So far we have academic excellence, student welfare. We want you to focus on that. Collaboration is very important. A lot of the initiatives on the Mona Law Society and a lot of initiatives presented tonight are already were already thought of or already planned from different executive portfolios. And so it's important that as first year representative, you are willing to collaborate with other persons to achieve the vision, because while you are achieving the vision for your first year group, we are all achieving the vision of the Mona Law Society. And lastly, my suggestion to you is that, and this is not in relation to debates, but campaigning is more than sending pics and videos. I'm hoping that you are talking to your voting pool and bringing out voters to actually press the button or select the option beside your name, because at the end of the day, that is what will determine the next first year representative. We believe that all candidates did extremely well tonight, and we are proud of you, extremely proud. And these debates are just debates. It was really for you to present yourselves to your classmates, and we feel that you did so very well. So have a good night, everyone. I now hand over to the host.
Thank you for that, Ms. Small. And now with that, we are coming to the ending of the debates, and I would like to call forward Miss Nia Watson to give the vote of thanks.
Good night, everybody. Our moderators, Akelia Richards, Shamar Bryan, judges, Shamar Wedderburn, Jamike Charles, Janelle Small, and Tamoy Campbell, and Ronaldo Richards. Mona Law Society Executive Body. First-year law representatives, candidates, returning officers for the respective campuses, our most valued and invited guests from the St. Augustine and Cave Hill campuses. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks for this function. On behalf of the Mona Law Society and the student body, I extend a hearty vote of thanks to all the debaters for sharing their ideas and solutions to the different problems posed today. Sincere appreciation to the judges for asking pertinent questions that highlight some of the concerns of the first year body. A big thank you to the moderators for effectively creating a warm atmosphere and ensuring smooth transitions. To the candidates here today, we say thank you for deciding to take the challenge to represent the interest of the first year law student body, and all the best with the rest of your campaign. To the Mona Law Society executive for efficiently organizing this debate, we say thank you. Participants, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for being with us today. It has been a great pleasure. Have a great exam week and keep achieving the golden standard. Enjoy the rest of your holiday and thank you.
Thank you, Nia Watson. Only some hours left in the holiday, but thank you. And to just close, I want to say thank you again to everyone who attended. And I want to say congratulations to Miss Karen Dawson. But I also want to warn everyone that the race is not quite finished as yet. And so you still have some campaigning to do, as our Madam President said. Ensure that your campaigning is more than just graphics, right? You want to reach out to the people, you want to secure that vote. So thank you everyone for attending. Thank you, Mr. Matthew Williams, for organizing such a great debate. And we thoroughly enjoyed ourselves. And just to close, rally with Ali, vote Odell to excel, feel the sting, the WASP initiative, or you can vote for the fireman, or you can vote for Karen because she cares. Karen's there for you and she cares for you. So thank you once more. Good evening, everyone. We thank you again for staying all the way. Goodbye.
Take care, everyone. It was a wonderful debate.